The Forsaken Asylum. Ravenwood Asylum stood like a sentinel of despair, its crumbling facade cloaked in shadows and entangled with thick, creeping vines. The once grand structure was now a husk of decay, its shattered windows resembling soulless eyes. Stories of the asylum's dark past, filled with inhumane treatments and eerie experiments by the malevolent Dr. Hawthorne, were well known among the locals. They spoke of ghostly apparitions and disembodied whispers that haunted the deserted halls, deterring even the bravest souls. Emma, an adventurous spirit with a thirst for the unknown, was captivated by these tales. Her boyfriend, Jake, was more cautious and preferred the safety of familiar grounds. Yet his love for Emma often led him into her daring escapades. Despite his reluctance, Jake found himself supporting Emma's quests, hoping to keep her safe. One late summer evening, Emma, fueled by curiosity and the thrill of the unknown, proposed an exploration of Ravenwood Asylum. Jake hesitated, recounting the sinister stories, but Emma's excitement was infectious. With a mix of trepidation and resolve, Jake agreed, and they set out towards the ominous structure, unaware of the horrors awaiting them within. With flashlights in hand, Emma and Jake cautiously entered Ravenwood Asylum through a rusted, half-open door. The air was thick with dust, and the faint smell of mold lingered. Their footsteps echoed ominously in the expansive, decrepit hallways, lined with peeling wallpaper and broken light fixtures. The atmosphere was unsettling. Every creak and groan of the old building seemed amplified in the eerie silence. As they ventured deeper, they stumbled upon old patient records scattered across the floor, the yellowed pages detailing long-forgotten treatments and diagnoses. Strange, outdated medical equipment lay abandoned, rusting away and adding to the macabre ambience. Their initial exploration was filled with unease, but it wasn't long before they experienced their first brush with the paranormal. As they turned a corner, a cold breeze swept past them, carrying with it a faint whisper that seemed to echo through the halls. Emma paused, straining to hear, but the sound dissipated as quickly as it had appeared. Jake, visibly unnerved, tried to rationalize it as a draft, though his voice betrayed his fear. Moments later, they caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure at the end of the hallway, only to find it vanished when they approached. They exchanged nervous glances but dismissed it as their minds playing tricks. Pushing forward, Emma's curiosity led them to a hidden room behind a heavy, rotting door. Inside, they discovered a treasure trove of documents, Dr. Hawthorne's personal files. The records detailed his horrific experiments, revealing a twisted obsession with achieving immortality. Emma's hands trembled as she read about the cruel treatments and the inhumane procedures inflicted on patients in the name of his dark quest. It became clear that Dr. Hawthorne's malevolence knew no bounds, and the asylum was a monument to his madness. As they absorbed the gravity of their discovery, the building around them seemed to come alive, a tangible reminder of the horrors that had once taken place within its walls. As Emma and Jake delved deeper into the heart of Ravenwood Asylum, the paranormal activity around them escalated. Objects began to move on their own. Doors creaked open and slammed shut without cause, and old medical instruments clattered to the floor. Ghostly figures flickered in and out of sight, their ethereal forms vanishing as quickly as they appeared. The temperature dropped dramatically, and the oppressive air seemed to thrum with a malevolent presence. Emma felt an unshakable sense of dread, and Jake's unease grew into visible fear. Their flashlights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls, creating the illusion of movement all around them. In one particularly cold spot, Jake paused, shivering uncontrollably. His face paled, and his eyes seemed to lose focus. Emma, noticing his change in demeanor, asked if he was all right, but Jake brushed her off, insisting he was fine. As they continued, Jake's behavior grew increasingly erratic and aggressive. He muttered to himself, his voice low and menacing, and his normally gentle nature gave way to sudden outbursts of anger. Emma's concern turned to alarm as she watched her boyfriend transform before her eyes. In a desperate search for answers, Emma stumbled upon a hidden drawer in Dr. Hawthorne's office. Inside, she found the doctor's journal, its pages filled with detailed accounts of his dark experiments. With mounting horror, Emma read about Hawthorne's attempts to transfer his soul into a new body, seeking immortality at any cost. The chilling realization struck her. Jake's strange behavior was a result of possession. Dr. Hawthorne's malevolent spirit had found a new host. Emma's heart raced as she pieced together the truth. She knew she had to act quickly to save Jake from the doctor's twisted grasp. The asylum around them seemed to pulse with dark energy, and Emma felt the weight of Dr. Hawthorne's gaze upon her. She steeled herself for the battle ahead, determined to free Jake from the clutches of the malevolent spirit and escape the horrors of Ravenwood Asylum. Emma faced the possessed Jake, her heart pounding as she called out to him, trying to reach the man she loved. Jake's eyes, now cold and menacing, glinted with the malevolent spirit of Dr. Hawthorne. A tense struggle ensued, blending physical and psychological horror. Emma dodged his aggressive advances, using her knowledge of their shared past to break through the doctor's control. Desperately, she recalled the exorcism rituals described in Hawthorne's journal. She began to recite the incantations, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her. The asylum seemed to vibrate with energy as Hawthorne's spirit resisted. Jake convulsed, his body a battleground between the spirit and Emma's words. Finally, with a final, anguished cry, Jake collapsed, and the malevolent presence receded. Emma helped him to his feet, and they fled the asylum, the oppressive darkness lifting as they emerged into the night. Though they had escaped, a lingering unease followed them, a silent reminder that Dr. Hawthorne's spirit might still be out there, waiting for another chance to return. The abandoned factory. The Harrow Steel factory loomed like a ghostly relic against the overcast sky, its once formidable structure now a rusting, dilapidated shell. Vines and weeds crept over the cracked brick walls, and shattered windows offered glimpses of the dark, cavernous interior filled with forgotten machinery. The factory had been abandoned decades ago after a catastrophic accident claimed the lives of numerous workers. Since then, whispers of hauntings and restless spirits kept locals at bay. Elia, a determined journalist with a knack for uncovering hidden truths, was drawn to the factory's dark history. Her friend Tara, a talented photographer with a keen eye for detail, joined her, eager to capture the eerie beauty of the abandoned site. Their friendship was a blend of mutual respect and shared curiosity, each pushing the other to explore beyond the surface. Driven by professional ambition and a thirst for the unknown, Elia and Tara decided to investigate the Harrow Steel factory for their next magazine piece. The lure of unraveling its mysteries and documenting its haunted legacy was too tempting to resist. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, they crossed the threshold into the forsaken factory, unaware of the horrors that awaited them within. Elia and Tara stepped cautiously into the Harrow Steel factory, their flashlights casting eerie beams through the darkened corridors. The air was thick with dust and the scent of rust and decay. As they ventured deeper, the oppressive silence was broken only by the distant drip of water and the creaking of old metal. Shadows seemed to dance on the walls, creating an ominous atmosphere that set their nerves on edge. They began to notice cryptic messages scrawled in faded paint and charcoal on the crumbling walls. Phrases like, "Leave while you can," and "He watches," sent chills down their spines. Unsettling graffiti depicted haunting faces and twisted figures, hinting at the tormented souls rumored to haunt the factory. The deeper they went, the more the factory seemed to come alive with a malevolent energy. Their first encounter with the paranormal came unexpectedly. As they paused to examine a particularly disturbing drawing, they heard faint footsteps echoing down the corridor. Then came the whispers, indistinct, almost conversational, but impossible to ignore. Elia and Tara exchanged uneasy glances, trying to dismiss the sounds as the building settling, but their growing tension was palpable. The distant clanging of machinery, long since abandoned, added to the eerie soundtrack, making them jump at every unexpected noise. Soon, the realization that they were not alone began to take hold. Both women felt an unsettling presence, as if unseen eyes were watching their every move. They discovered fresh footprints in the dust, leading deeper into the factory, and noticed that some areas seemed recently disturbed, with debris moved aside and pathways cleared. The signs were too deliberate to be ignored, and the sense of being watched intensified with each step they took. Their initial excitement was now overshadowed by a creeping dread. Every corner turned revealed new, disturbing clues that hinted at the factory's dark past and the possibility of a present danger lurking within. Elia and Tara pressed on, their determination to uncover the truth driving them forward, even as fear gnawed at the edges of their resolve. Venturing deeper into the Harrow Steel factory, Elia and Tara stumbled upon a hidden door, partially obscured by debris. Pushing it open, they found themselves in an old control room. The air inside was stale, thick with the scent of dust and decay. Rows of dusty monitors lined the walls, and stacks of forgotten files lay scattered across a rusty desk. Tara's camera flashed, capturing the eerie scene, while Elia rifled through the files, uncovering records of past factory operations and ominous reports of the accident. Curiosity led them to activate one of the ancient monitors, bringing the screens to life with a flicker. Grainy surveillance footage began to play, revealing scenes of past explorers wandering through the factory. Their excitement turned to horror as they watched these individuals meet gruesome fates, falling into rusted machinery, being crushed by collapsing structures, or mysteriously disappearing into the shadows. The footage ended abruptly, leaving Elia and Tara in stunned silence. Their shock was interrupted by the sound of heavy footsteps. Turning, they found themselves face to face with the Watcher. He was an imposing figure, his clothes tattered and his eyes wild with madness. The Watcher revealed himself as a former worker who had survived the catastrophic accident. Driven insane by his isolation and the horrors he had witnessed, he had been living in the factory ever since, stalking and hunting intruders who dared to enter his domain. Realizing the danger they were in, Elia and Tara made a desperate bid for escape. They sprinted through the factory's labyrinthine corridors, their footsteps echoing wildly as they tried to outpace the Watcher. Their knowledge of the factory layout was their only advantage, but the twisting passages and countless dead ends worked against them. The Watcher's intimate familiarity with the factory's maze-like structure allowed him to anticipate their moves, appearing suddenly from the shadows and driving them further into the depths of the building. Heart pounding and adrenaline surging, Elia and Tara used every ounce of their quick thinking to evade the Watcher. They ducked through narrow gaps, crawled under machinery, and doubled back to throw off their pursuer. Yet, the factory seemed to conspire against them, its dark corridors leading them in circles and its heavy machinery creating impassable barriers. The sense of impending doom grew with each passing moment as they struggled to find a way out, their hope dwindling in the face of the Watcher's relentless pursuit. In the bowels of the Harrow Steel factory, Elia and Tara faced a final, desperate struggle for survival against the Watcher. The air was thick with tension, every shadow a potential threat. Using whatever they could find, rusted pipes, broken machinery parts, they tried to fend off their deranged pursuer. The confrontation was a terrifying blend of physical and psychological horror, with the Watchers' maniacal laughter echoing through the corridors, heightening their fear. Despite their valiant efforts, the Watcher's intimate knowledge of the factory's layout gave him the upper hand. In a final, chilling moment, he outmaneuvered them, cornering them in a dead-end room. Elia, horror-stricken, watched as Tara was overpowered and met a gruesome end. Her screams echoed in Elia's ears, a harrowing prelude to her own demise. The Watcher's relentless assault left Elia with no escape, and she too fell victim to his madness. The story concludes with an eerie stillness settling over the factory. Elia and Tara's spirits, now part of the factory's tragic lore, join the other restless souls haunting the desolate site. Their tragic fate serves as a grim warning to any future intruders, perpetuating the dark legacy of the Harrow Steel factory. 3. The Haunted Hotel. The Ravenswood Hotel stood as a haunting monument to its former grandeur, its once luxurious facade now marred by decay and overgrown vines. Inside, the vast lobby lay shrouded in darkness, with dust-covered chandeliers and faded opulence hinting at a sinister past. The hotel had been abandoned after a series of mysterious deaths, fueling rumors of ghostly guests who still lingered. Nina, a determined paranormal investigator, was eager to prove the existence of spirits, driven by her passion for uncovering the supernatural. Her partner, Mark, a skeptic, aimed to debunk her beliefs. Compelled by their contrasting motivations, they decided to spend the night in the haunted Ravenswood Hotel, setting the stage for an encounter with the unknown. Nina and Mark cautiously set up their cameras and recording devices, the beams of their flashlights cutting through the darkened hallways of the Ravenswood Hotel. The atmosphere was thick with an eerie stillness, the air heavy with the scent of mildew and abandonment. Shadows seemed to dance along the walls, and the silence was broken only by the distant creak of old wood and the occasional scuttle of unseen critters. As they began their investigation, subtle, unexplained phenomena started to occur. Lights flickered, cold drafts brushed past them, and their equipment picked up faint whispers. Nina's excitement grew with each incident, her belief in the supernatural seemingly validated. Mark, however, remained skeptical, attributing the occurrences to natural causes or faulty equipment. Their skepticism was challenged when they witnessed their first ghostly apparition, a translucent figure of a former guest drifting through the corridor. Nina's eyes sparkled with excitement, while Mark tried to rationalize the sighting. As the night progressed, the apparitions became more frequent and vivid, the spectral figures replaying moments from their tragic pasts. Nina's obsession deepened as she spent hours attempting to communicate with the spirits, asking questions and eagerly awaiting responses. She pored over their equipment, analyzing every sound and flicker. Mark, meanwhile, grew increasingly uneasy. The mounting evidence began to chip away at his skepticism, leaving him torn between disbelief and the undeniable occurrences before them. The hotel's ominous grip tightened around them, setting the stage for even darker revelations. While exploring the Ravenswood Hotel, Nina and Mark stumbled upon a hidden passage concealed behind a faded tapestry. Curiosity piqued, they ventured down the narrow staircase, emerging into an underground room. The room was a chilling tableau of the past, filled with old photographs, personal items of past guests, and mementos of lives abruptly ended. The eerie collection hinted at the hotel's dark secrets and the tragedies that had unfolded within its walls. As they examined the room, a cold chill swept through, and the spectral figure of the bellhop materialized before them. His uniform was pristine, but his eyes burned with a malevolent fury. The bellhop revealed his sinister intentions, targeting Mark with an unnerving intensity. He recounted his vengeful motive, to trap souls within the hotel, ensuring no one ever escaped the grasp of Ravenswood. Mark, now fully convinced of the supernatural threat, felt the weight of the ghost's hatred bearing down on him. Realizing the imminent danger, Nina frantically searched for a way to break the curse. She combed through the room, uncovering cryptic symbols and fragmented notes hinting at a ritual to dispel the spirits. However, the clues were incomplete, and the pressure of time made it difficult to piece everything together. Mark's desperation grew as the bellhop's presence loomed ever closer, and Nina's race against time intensified. The stakes had never been higher, and their survival hinged on unraveling the hotel's dark mystery before it was too late. The air in the underground room grew colder as the bellhop advanced, his malevolent grin widening. Nina and Mark faced a tense, climactic confrontation, the spectral figure's fury palpable. Drawing upon everything she had learned from the cryptic notes, Nina frantically recited incantations and made use of the symbols she had found, hoping to repel the bellhop. Shadows flickered violently, and the room seemed to pulse with dark energy as the vengeful spirit lashed out. Despite Nina's desperate efforts, the bellhop proved too powerful. With a chilling shriek, he overpowered them, his ghostly form becoming a whirlwind of rage. Mark, caught in the spirit's grip, was torn apart limb by limb before Nina's eyes. His screams echoed through the haunted corridors, leaving Nina paralyzed with horror. The gruesome sight of her partner being brutally killed seared into her mind, a nightmare she would never escape. Summoning the last of her strength, Nina managed to break free and fled the Ravenswood Hotel, stumbling out into the cold night. She had survived, but the cost was unimaginable. Deeply traumatized, Nina was haunted by the memories of Mark's death and the malevolent spirit that had claimed him. The scars of her experience ran deep, and she constantly questioned whether her survival was worth the unbearable loss. Nina escapes the Ravenswood Hotel, but the dark legacy of the place remains. The hotel stands as a grim sentinel, waiting for its next unsuspecting guests, its sinister history ready to claim more souls. The derelict school. The charred remains of Maplewood Elementary stood in eerie silence, the overgrown playground a stark reminder of happier times now lost. The devastating fire that claimed the lives of several students and teachers had turned the once vibrant school into a somber relic, surrounded by ghost stories and urban legends. Olivia, a former student, was haunted by her past and the memories of that tragic day. Her childhood friend Gary, who shared her trauma, joined her in seeking closure. Driven by their shared history and a need to confront their fears, they decided to return to Maplewood Elementary, hoping to lay their ghosts to rest. Olivia and Gary pushed open the creaking doors of Maplewood Elementary, their flashlights piercing the darkness of the burnt hallways. The walls were blackened, and the remnants of classrooms lay in disarray, with charred desks and books scattered across the floor. As they ventured deeper, a chilling atmosphere enveloped them, punctuated by faint whispers and fleeting shadows that danced at the edges of their vision. Ghostly apparitions of the children who perished in the fire began to appear, their ethereal forms a haunting reminder of the tragedy. In a forgotten corner of the school, Olivia stumbled upon a hidden drawer containing old records. As she sifted through the brittle papers, a horrifying truth emerged. The fire had not been an accident. The headmistress, in a desperate bid to conceal her dark secrets, had set the blaze intentionally. The records detailed her cruel punishments and sinister experiments, painting a picture of a twisted mind willing to sacrifice lives to protect her reputation. As Olivia and Gary absorbed this revelation, the paranormal activity around them intensified. The spirits of the children, now more restless than ever, tried to communicate, their voices a blend of sorrow and anger. They led Olivia and Gary to more clues, revealing the extent of the headmistress's malevolence. Objects began to move on their own, and the temperature dropped sharply, signaling the growing power of the supernatural forces within the school. The atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, pushing Olivia and Gary to uncover the full extent of the horror that had been hidden for so long. While exploring a particularly dark and foreboding corridor, Olivia and Gary noticed a trapdoor concealed beneath a thick layer of ash and debris. With a sense of foreboding, they pried it open and descended into a hidden basement. The air grew colder, and a palpable sense of dread filled the space. In the dim light, they saw evidence of the headmistress's cruelty. Rusty shackles, old leather straps, and sinister instruments of punishment lined the walls. Faded photographs of terrified children, alongside the headmistress's meticulous notes on her cruel methods, confirmed the extent of her malevolence. As they absorbed these horrifying revelations, the spirits of the children began to gather around them, their translucent forms shimmering with sorrow and anger. Through fragmented whispers and ghostly visions, the children revealed a shocking truth. Olivia and Gary were meant to die in the fire. On that fateful day, a mysterious force had intervened, saving them from the headmistress's deadly plot. This revelation deepened their resolve to confront the headmistress's spirit and free the trapped souls. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and an oppressive darkness filled the room. The malevolent spirit of the headmistress emerged, her eyes burning with a vengeful fury. She moved with a spectral grace, her presence exuding malice. "You shouldn't have come back," her voice echoed, chilling them to their cores. The confrontation began as she unleashed her wrath, using the very instruments of her cruelty against them. Olivia and Gary, armed with their newfound knowledge and determination, fought back, but the headmistress's spirit was powerful and relentless. The air crackled with energy as the struggle to survive and break her hold on the school commenced, pushing them to their limits. A tense confrontation erupted in the basement, blending physical and psychological horror as Olivia and Gary faced the headmistress's vengeful spirit. Using the knowledge they had gathered, they recited incantations and invoked the memories of the tormented children to weaken her. The air crackled with energy as the headmistress's screams filled the room. With a final, desperate effort, Olivia and Gary confronted the headmistress's spirit, breaking her hold on the school. The trapped souls of the children were freed, their ethereal forms dissolving into peaceful light. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, leaving the school in an eerie calm. As they emerged from the derelict school, Olivia and Gary felt a profound sense of closure. Though forever changed by their experience, they were no longer haunted by their past, ready to move forward with their lives. The deserted mansion. Bramwell Mansion loomed before them, a ghostly relic of bygone opulence. Its grand facade, now crumbling and overgrown with ivy, hinted at its former glory. Broken windows and sagging balconies added to its eerie charm, while the silence that enveloped the mansion seemed to amplify every creak and rustle. The air was thick with legends of hidden treasures and ghostly apparitions, whispered among those who dared to approach. Alex, an adventurous treasure hunter with an insatiable thirst for fortune, stood at the entrance with his cautious sister, Peyton. Alex's eyes gleamed with excitement at the prospect of uncovering the mansion's secrets, while Peyton's expression was one of apprehension. She had joined him out of concern, fearing the dangers that might lurk within the decaying walls. Their dynamic was a blend of daring ambition and protective caution, a balance that had seen them through many past adventures. Despite her reservations, Alex's persuasive enthusiasm convinced Peyton to join him on this expedition. "Think of the treasure, Peyton," he urged, "and the stories we'll uncover." Reluctantly, Peyton agreed, driven by her love for her brother and the hope that this would be their last reckless adventure. Together, they crossed the threshold into the mansion, unaware of the dark forces that awaited them within. As Alex and Peyton cautiously entered the mansion, their flashlights cast eerie beams across the luxurious but decaying rooms. The grand foyer, once adorned with ornate chandeliers and rich tapestries, now lay in ruins, with dust motes dancing in the stale air. The intricate woodwork was splintered, and faded portraits of the Bramwell family stared down at them with hollow eyes. The atmosphere was thick with abandonment, every creak of the floorboards echoing ominously through the silent halls. Their exploration soon led them to peculiar clues and hidden passages. Behind a cracked mirror, they found a concealed door leading to a narrow staircase. The mansion's labyrinthine layout revealed secret rooms filled with dusty heirlooms and personal items of the Bramwell family. Old letters, jewelry, and even children's toys were scattered about, each discovery adding to the aura of mystery and danger. In one dimly lit corridor, they encountered the ghostly figure of the caretaker. His translucent form materialized before them, eyes filled with a sorrowful warning. "Leave this place," he intoned, his voice echoing with an otherworldly resonance. Alex, driven by greed and the promise of treasure, dismissed the apparition's warning with a wave of his hand. Peyton, however, felt a chill run down her spine, her unease growing with each step they took. Undeterred, Alex pressed on, leading Peyton deeper into the mansion. They stumbled upon a hidden study filled with the Bramwell family's documents and a dusty journal. Each new room they uncovered intensified the sense of danger and foreboding. Peyton's apprehension deepened, but Alex's determination only grew stronger, convinced that the treasure was within their reach. Little did they know, the true nature of the mansion's secrets was far darker than they could have imagined. Venturing further into the mansion, Alex and Peyton discovered a hidden door behind an ornate bookshelf in the study. This led them to a forgotten chamber filled with dusty books and family relics. Among these, they found an old, leather-bound diary belonging to the Bramwell family. As Peyton carefully turned the fragile pages, a horrifying story unfolded. The diary revealed that the Bramwell family had made a pact with a dark entity, trading their souls for immense wealth. This sinister deal explained the curse on the treasure and the caretaker's role in guarding it. As they absorbed this chilling revelation, the mansion's atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. The caretaker began to appear more frequently, his once sorrowful warnings turning into aggressive threats. Paranormal phenomena escalated, doors slammed shut on their own, shadows moved independently, and chilling whispers echoed through the halls. The air itself seemed charged with malevolent energy, creating a sense of imminent danger that weighed heavily on Peyton. Alex, however, seemed oblivious to the mounting peril. As they delved deeper into the mansion, his behavior became increasingly erratic. He spoke in disjointed sentences, his eyes glazed with an unnatural gleam. Peyton's concern grew as Alex's demeanor shifted from determined to downright threatening. It became clear that the dark entity mentioned in the diary was beginning to take hold of him, driven by their proximity to the cursed treasure. The possession intensified, with Alex exhibiting violent outbursts and moments of terrifying clarity where the entity's influence was unmistakable. Peyton, torn between fear for her own safety and her desperate need to save her brother, realized that they were running out of time. The mansion's dark secrets were unraveling, and the closer they got to the treasure, the more powerful and dangerous the entity became. Desperate to save Alex, Peyton frantically searched through the diary and the mansion's hidden secrets, hoping to find a way to break the curse. The struggle was both physical and psychological, as Alex, now fully under the entity's influence, lashed out violently. Peyton fought to reach her brother, using the knowledge she had gathered to weaken the entity's hold. The mansion itself seemed to react to their struggle, with walls closing in and shadows growing darker. In a fleeting moment of clarity, Alex regained control. He realized the only way to protect Peyton was to end his own life, thus breaking the entity's influence. With tears in his eyes, he made the ultimate sacrifice, ending his life to save his sister. Peyton, heartbroken, could only watch as her brother fell, the entity's hold dissipating with his last breath. Leaving the mansion, Peyton was deeply affected by the loss of her brother, but relieved to be free from the entity's curse. The mansion stood silent once more, a haunting reminder of the Dark Pact and the Bramwell family's tragic fate. Peyton's experience left her forever changed, carrying the scars of that fateful night.